Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gents. We're going to be talking about this chaos in college football when it comes to the coaching carousel. So more names have removed themselves from the chopping block or from the hiring block, if you will. And some other names are starting to come back up again. We got Cody, the professor, joining us here today to talk about these things. We talked about it actually with Dan Thompson and the boys on the Hightop Sports / Gator panel a few weeks ago. And we kind of overpassed it, if you will, because we had so many conversations that day about this coaching carousel that I don't know if anyone had caught what Dan was saying. And what he alluded to was the Lincoln Riley situation, which is a name that has been thrown around. It's tossed around. We actually brought him up on our chart when we did all the charts for all the college football coaches, and I took the names off of it. Lincoln Riley's graph was exceptional, and we kind of talked about it, you and I, Cody. We liked a lot of things Lincoln did. The one thing that Lincoln has that the others don't, I would say, is history. We have more knowledge about Lincoln than we do other guys, which you can take it how you will. We look at it as more negative because we've almost have more data that we don't like. Ultimately, though, the graph was still, very straightforward of how he looked. Well, Sean, why are you talking about Lincoln? What's going on here? Well, like I said, during that panel, Dan said that don't sleep on Lincoln. Because, and he brought DeBoer into this. I haven't heard any more about DeBoer, but that Lincoln is not happy at USC. Just living out there, the situation, not a fit, all the things that you could think of. And it kind of makes sense. It just doesn't feel like as soon as Lincoln got there, when he went there, I was like, man, this thing is going to just explode. It is a 10 out of 10 home run hire, and it hasn't never really caught fire. You agree, Cody?
Yeah. The recruiting classes have been explosive in the beginning and then dropped off. He has kind of shot himself in the foot, keeping a friend along, and the Speed D Grinch, that didn't work out. Finally had to make a change, and look, they owe him a lot of money if he ends on his own reconnaissance or leaves on his own reconnaissance. I don't think they pay him all that money. Can you put a price on happiness? And how do you kind of overlook the way he left Oklahoma? Now, you talk about the most important part of the game is quarterback development. I would say that he's done a
bang-up job
there with some of the quarterbacks that he's developed over the years. I don't think he's lost that. Offensive guy, wears a visor. Makes a lot of sense for a lot of schools. Not just Florida.
And it is weird, given, I would say, the lackluster of success at USC, that he's still considerably a very hot and spicy name. I mean, as he should. He's got a pretty good track record. Like you said, you look at the graph, it's pretty solid. Now, if he were to pick up and leave, you've got two situations where he has kind of grimly left his schools. And look, when you're looking for a crazy, girlfriend and they're hot, you really don't care about the past. You kind of overlook the skeletons if they're hot enough. And I feel like Lincoln might have that ability to do that, of like, he's coming to your house and it's like, yeah, but you let your last two guys just stranded. He's like, yeah, but not to you, baby. And you're like, all right, come on. I would never. That was them. They had problems. It was them, not me. You're different.
Yes.
Like, I am different. So now the reason I'm talking about all this, because Dan had it first, but it seems that men with receding hairlines have insight. And so Josh Pate on their show dropped this little nugget. Take a listen.
Yeah.
Care to off the record?
So just put this on your radar.
Put it on.
I'm just going to, and can we end on this? Can we agree?
We do have a final bite from McDonald's, but
yeah, and also
should we wait? This could be the take going into the weekend.
Can you put the pin back in, whatever you just pulled?
All right, you ready?
Pull the pin.
All right, here we go. Let's just keep an eye on Lincoln Riley at USC.
Do you have any feeling on it?
He threw the grenade. You couldn't see him throw the grenade. But love the theatrics there. But look, that was exactly what we talked about 2 weeks ago. And I think that's still alluding to him not being happy at USC. Now, we were like, well, USC's not going to fold over either. And when we had this conversation with Dan, which I felt was very interesting and it made a ton of sense, was DeBoer. Now, this DeBoer is doing great things in Alabama. So I don't see him leaving, and I don't see Bama letting that go. If that were to happen, college football would explode. would explode. If Bama is unable to hold on to the Kalen DeBoer, it would explode. I think that's a whole other level to this conspiracy train that's just crazy. But yeah, the fact that this Lincoln stuff is starting to heat up, and this to me is the reason why I find this intriguing. It could be elsewhere. It could be made like a Penn State job. That just doesn't make any sense. Is because we've had such little noise from the Florida side of this whole thing. And we talked about, was it you that I talked about it? You have to have a plan B. You got to have a situation where you're protected. And if you're Strickland, you know this hire is the end all be all for your career. If you don't get Lane, you got to be just as splashy. So where is that splash going to come from? Well, a Lincoln Riley would be a splash. What are you Googling, Cody? What are you Googling?
I was seeing who his agent was.
Oh. Who is it?
It's Tracy Armstrong.
So it's not Sexton. Isn't Tracy
Nope.
the same as Brian Kelly's?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh.
It just feels weird because
Whoa. maybe on his way out from his other guy, he dropped a little nugget about somebody else. I don't think Lincoln fits that job either.
Doesn't it feel weird because it always felt like he ran from the SEC?
That's what we always joked about. Yeah. And I think that he did. And I think what happened, he got punched in the mouth, and because at the time the USC to the Big Ten wasn't happening, if I'm not mistaken.
Pac-12. Yeah, they were Pac-12.
Yeah, and I don't think that transition had happened yet. So you were ready to the Pac-12, which was a great move, and then it turned into the Big Ten, and you're like, now, like that's a huge factor, dude.
And not even a regular Big Ten, not even like the normal Big Ten. You're flying mileage.
Yeah, like
you're the furthest school on the West Coast.
And 90% of your games are 3 hours behind you constantly, or ahead of you.
I mean, what's that flight to Rutgers from USC?
It's 6 hours. 12-hour turnaround. You're losing hours on both times. I mean, it's insanity. It's a lot of work, and it takes a toll on
the SEC.
Not a problem at all. So you not only have did you switch conferences where the Big Ten doesn't really match your style of play, and because again you just don't have a defense. Now, what my concern if I'm Florida is trenches wise, their ass. He has not done well with developing. Look, these are all things I think we all overlook, and it's because they're a flashy offense and they've had success with quarterbacks. There's still holes though. There's still holes, but they play tonight against Northwestern. I'm gonna really tune in tonight to see how things go.
What about the ACC?
Could you be like could it be a Clemson fit? We were talking about that on the morning show. Could that be where Clemson can go?
Clemson, FSU.
That's a hell of that. They don't have enough money to do that move.
To do what move?
To pay Lincoln.
If he leaves on his own.
No, they still got to pay Lincoln. You got to pay $100 million, and you're gonna pay another $100 million to Lincoln. Lincoln's gonna get paid. Lincoln still sits in the world where he's gonna be in the top 10 paid coaches, I believe.
Any Big 12 jobs open?
No, not
I don't
sexy
think he wants
enough.
to do that either.
No.
I don't think he wants to do the West to East thing.
Look, I think the fact that
his
kudos to whoever it is, whether it's agent or somebody, I think they've done a good job. And we were just talking about this on the morning show of propping up his name. For somebody who hasn't had much success literally in 3 years, outside of his first year there, where they lost the bowl game to Tulane, but they were one game away from playing. They lost the Pac-12 championship to Utah, the last one. And outside, if they don't lose that, they're playing in a playoff. His first year, and who knows what that does. So outside of that year, it has just been a steadily decline. And again, who knows? And like I said, what changed? Well, the conference changed. The entire landscape of what he dove into changed drastically. You went from flying an hour to two for every game, competing against lesser-like schools, to now competing against some of the best, the top echelon of the Big Ten, and flying 12-hour days.
What? I got a school for you. It'd be a downgrade, but a place that he is very familiar with. Want to take a whack at it? Oklahoma State. Get to go in there, beat up on, the Big 12.
The state.
Beat up on everybody. You don't have to play Oklahoma every year anymore.
So you don't like him at Florida?
You get to go win that. You get to go win that conference and make yourself a playoff run every single year.
Another runaway from it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't sound crazy.
That's right down par for the course, right?
Yeah. Look, I think Florida, because he's still in the odds for Florida, so that's what I'm keeping an eye on right now. Because some names that are on this list obviously would be your Lane Kiffin, your Brahms. Brent Key was on Florida's list.
Does he fit?
At Oklahoma State?
No, does he fit at Florida?
I think so.
It just doesn't make sense. If he wanted to be in the SEC, he could have stayed at Oklahoma.
Maybe he didn't like Oklahoma.
Maybe he's just afraid of the SEC, and he can go to Oklahoma State and then get a heck of a coach.
That if he does that, then I would say it's confirmed he's afraid of it. But we'll find that out sooner rather than later. I think this year for sure. But for the Lane Kiffin situation and Brent Key is looking to sign an extension, which is just one more coach on top of this carousel that is staying put, if you will. Which again, we keep talking about it, man. We said this at the beginning of the stages when we were discussing coaches, and we're like, that guy's not leaving because it's his alma mater. And those takes that you and I both had are starting to come to fruition. Like, this is true. And this is what I've said too about Lane Kiffin with the Ole Miss thing. It's like, man, these guys, these coaches are starting to love where they're at, and they realize, like, hey, we can make the playoff where we're at. I still feel like, and this is why the Lane to Florida situation just seems more likely to happen, because you're not necessarily poaching a coach from a lesser end job just to come coach for a better job, right? That is a small part of it, but I would argue, and I've said this, and Ole Miss fans, they're going to be like, oh, you got him. No, I've been saying this. He makes it a good job. It works for him. He's had success there. Will he maintain success? No. Does he want to do that? Is he okay with being good every couple of years? Probably. I don't know. But he has connections to Florida. And that's where I think that's where this whole thing continues to stay alive. But the Brent Key signing his extension, for Florida fans, I don't know if we're happy about it, because it takes a name that people were looking like. It's starting to shrink this list down a little bit. There seems to be a lot of noise with Drink heading to Penn State, right? Good.
So who's your top three? As Drink, let's say Drink goes to Penn State. Let's say
Key stays.
Let's say Braun stays.
So Braun was the one name I've seen that still doesn't seem to be as committed to their alma mater yet. But you want to throw him into the mix? I'll play your game. You want to throw him into that that list still?
He's extending. Let's say extension.
Okay, because of its alma mater, it's gonna. I mean, you know who it is. I mean, with this noise, it's Lincoln's in there, it's Lane, and it's Fish.
The list is at some point the list is of all these coaches is going to be unobtainium because they're all signing extensions. It's the ones that aren't signing extensions.
You have to, yeah.
That have,
Franklin's still hanging around. Franklin's still hanging around. Drink is not coming to Florida. It doesn't sound like, so we can just knock him off the list, right? So that leaves Lincoln Riley, Lane Kiffin, Jed Fish, and then you're off a list of, you're starting to look at coordinators.
Coordinators, North Texas coach.
G5 guys.
You're going down a slippery slope there.
So this is, it's funny when you think about this, like when you're seeing all these coaches sign extensions, and again, Florida's not alone here, but remember we talked about this when we fired Napier.
Well, and some of them don't have to sign extensions. Like Jed Fish doesn't have to sign an extension because he just got there.
Yeah, his is pretty hefty. Yeah, like his situation's a little like you're paying a lot to get him, right? You're doing a lot to get him. But we talked about this, like, hey, like there's no need to really fire Napier. Now, I'm glad we did. I'm glad we saw what we saw versus Georgia. Like we as fans wanted to see something different throughout the season. But with doing that, look what the market does. The market reacted to that situation. And so you wonder if you waited. Now, Auburn, LSU, they also threw their names into the hat. Penn State threw their name into the hats. I think with Penn State being the first domino, I think LSU and Auburn would have been in that circumstances. It didn't matter. Like the market would have adjusted properly. My point is that when these spots opened up, it kind of alerted everyone else to be like, hey, we got to do something because there's sharks in the water now. these business guys also are not dumb, right? Like FSU could possibly still open up. They could probably see the writing on the wall for a lot of these schools and still have done these things even without the firing of Napier. But it is definitely something to think about. It's like, if we didn't show our hand, would it have mattered? No, I don't think so. But you always wonder if it could have. I want to go ahead.
Unbiasedly, we talked about Florida being 1A, 1B with LSU. I don't see it that way after the shenanigans shit show that's going on down there with the governor
The
and
LSU
everything
noise
else.
for Lane has dissipated.
Well, that's because they fired their AD. They don't have an AD. They don't know what's going on. They don't even know who's even holding practice over there at LSU.
Wild.
What are they doing? So I think that LSU is. I think it goes Florida, a drop off Auburn, a drop off LSU.
That's a bit of a hot
I don't
take,
think that.
but-
I don't think the LSU job is as appealing with the way that they're handling their football program.
They'll fix that up. I don't think it's that much of a
with
drop
the governor, with this board he's putting together to hire a coach. It just looks bad. It looks terrible.
Sure. Before we go, I hopped onto the boards just to see if there's anything else that was going on. And the thing was just titled Lane Kiffin. Like, if you've ever been on these message boards on On3, they'll have like a subject line, right? Kind of like an article, if you will. And so sometimes it's just very simple. And it said Lane Kiffin, just straight that. I was like, oh, this is going to be juicy. And it was brand new. Look what happened.
Perfect.
I was like, that is incredible. That is incredible. Yes. I mean, well done.
Well done, troll. That might actually be lame. That might be lame.
Bro, had me in shambles, bro. I was like, this is the best content I've seen all day. Like, I was so fired up. I was like, yes, sir. What do we got today, baby? Bam! Whacked me in the nuts. Good stuff. Boys and girls, great show. Great little conversation there. The Lane Kiffin stuff, all this stuff has been fun to talk about and keep an eye on. Obviously, we've been doing it the whole time. So we'll continue to keep talking about it and monitor the situation as it occurs and as it happens. And if we get more, we'll inform you guys best we can. We're on the way to 30,000 subs. Do us a favor, smash it, like it, do all the good stuff. Y'all be good, be safe. Till next time, baby. Peace and love.